Hello to all you dreamers, and I must say that since you are here to lend your ears towards a topic that's sensitive, I should call you all sensitive dreamers, right? Welcome again to the Knowledge Series where Asianet News and Amrita School of Business under Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham bring on board experts and the who's who from the academia and industry to talk to you about matters pertinent to your growth. I'm your moderator of the series. My name is Shikha Singh, and all of you watching us, dear audience members, boys and girls, the fifth habit of Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says that seek first to understand, then be understood. We are here with yet another idea to be cogitated upon, where only if we understand it from the experts, we will be understood later with our entrepreneurial strides, right? We are talking about the importance of sustainability for entrepreneurs today. Well, first things first, let's make sure that we are cognizant that sustainability is not a luxury, mic drop. However, while businesses have a key role to play, many large companies are still unwilling to promote sustainability as they think it's still contrary to their current business models, which are focused on growing consumption and sales. So this actually, on the brighter side, presents an opportunity for entrepreneurial companies with innovative business models who are really, I would like to say, passionate about sustainability and the social impact to better position themselves to take those risks and really innovate. And I think we together belong to and we adhere to the latter part of the class, right? So if the answer is yes, I want to see some comments that are coming in saying yes, right? Affirm to that if you believe in that. And sustainable entrepreneurship, if we talk about, which is often termed as sustainopreneurship, is all about the discovery, the creation, and the exploitation of entrepreneurial opportunities that contribute to sustainability by generating social and environmental gains for others, the society at large. By always thinking about doing things in new and better ways, entrepreneurship is highly relevant to you individuals watching us. Well, yes, I know what goes on the top of our minds, the key challenges, the costly sustainable actions, the impact measurements, the resources, the brand awareness, and of course, there could be a barrage of things that we can talk about. But yes, our distinguished experts will talk about all of that. Maybe they allay our fears as well and more. So let's greet them with some very happy comments. And I want to see those comments coming in. I'll be happy to also take them up live and acknowledge your presence. So talking about our first guest out here, who is a revered personality. I must call him a giver of wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can, of course, you'll be shortly seeing him on the screen. Let's warmly welcome Dr. Viswanathan, PK, Professor Economics, Amrita School of Business, Amritapuri, Kollam. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Viswanathan.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shikha Singh. I'm very happy to join this webinar on sustainability hosted by Amrita University and asianetnews.com. I have a brief presentation to make. Can I open my presentation?
Dr. Viswanathan, yes. So being the moderator of the entire episode, I will reserve this right to humbly allow you to begin your presentation, but just in a bit. For now, there's a little thing that we have. I have just devised, because we're talking about entrepreneurship, we're talking about innovation. So there's a little innovative rule that I've sort of devised, which is that before you actually talk to our young budding entrepreneurs, you have to play a little rapid fire round with me. So are you game for it? Are you up for it?
Yes.
All right. So Dr. Viswanathan, here's the thing for you. tell us. Of course, we'll introduce you in greater detail and we'll hand it over to you for your presentation after meeting our second guest as well. But right now, I will ask you, and you get no thinking time for this. Tell us, what is the best advice you have ever given, and what is the best advice you've ever got?
The best advice I have given is to be responsible. And the best advice I got was to be highly committed to your profession.
I think that is something that you truly exhibit anyways. So the advice that you've given and you've received, I think both are definitely followed very well. Thank you for answering the question of my rapid fire round. We won't put you in a spot further, and we'll see you in a bit. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, all right. With that, our next guest is someone we would like to introduce. He enjoys being a session moderator, discussion facilitator, and is a motivational speaker. And the best thing about him, I tell you, he has a lovely smile. Let's say a warm welcome to Dr. G.P. Rao, founder, Good People Relations.
Thank you so much, Shikha, and my co-panelist, Dr. Viswanathan. Happy to be in this very, very vital webinar on importance of sustainability for entrepreneurs, organized by asianetnews.com and Amrita University. Very, very, very happy to be with you.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. And you provide so much positivity. Are you ready to nail my rapid fire round as well?
Yeah,
because there's no exception in the rule.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you for being very gracious, both of you. So here goes your question, which is, talent or hard work, which is more important for success? Of course, both, we would like to agree. But if you could just choose one, where would you put your bet, actually?
Talent.
Okay, interesting. And why?
Because that's the raw material. What you do, the hard work is only work around that. So the seed is important, the raw material is important, the metal is important. Then the hard work polishes it, and then it flourishes.
Lovely, answered it without a single second being spent on thinking. So there was rapid and there was good fire. It was rapid and there was good fire in your answer. Well, we don't have a hamper, but of course we have good round of cheer for both of us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. We'll see you around, but right now, everyone, of course, we have extended our welcome to our dear guest. With that, before getting started, here's urging all you folks to be conversational. Like I always say, please shoot your questions via the comment box that you see on your screens, I'm sure. We have a dedicated Q&A interaction towards the end of the webinar. And entrepreneurship, if we talk about it's a mindset. It's that kind of behavior that's sort of like how Dr. Rao just said, it's talent that's there and it flourishes. So we are talking about that same aspect. We'll unleash more of it with introducing our first guest in greater detail. So Dr. Viswanathan PK, if we talk about him, and you can see him on the screen, he serves as a professor economics with specialized interest in the economics of natural resources management and sustainability. Dr. Viswanathan has more than 25 years of research experience and 10 years of teaching experience as well. He's acted as a consultant to the UNDP and FAO of the United Nations. It's indeed a pleasure to be again welcoming him. Dr. Viswanathan has published more than 70 research articles in peer-reviewed journals and also the chapters in edited volumes. I won't hold him further. It's over to you, Dr. Viswanathan PK.
Thank you, Shikha, for the nice introduction. Let me share my presentation. I have a brief presentation on the topic. Let me just open it and share it.
Sure. Great. Please go ahead. And all of you, this is your time. You can, as you hear to Dr. Viswanathan, make sure you definitely cast your questions if you have any. And with that, it's over to you.
Thank you once again. The topic of today's webinar is importance of sustainability for entrepreneurs. I believe that for more than anything else, business is basically the crux of global attention now. So sustainability has to start from business, basically the entrepreneurs. Uh, Let me move on to the outline of my presentation. I'll be basically talking about what is sustainability as understood globally. Then I'll talk about why we should be concerned about sustainability in the emerging context, how sustainability can be made a reality, and what actions required at the local, national, and global level to leave a better world for the future generations. And finally, wrapping up of the topic. Before I begin, I always, when I start my teaching the course on sustainability to the management students, I always start with rather three famous quotations. Basically, please remember that these three quotations, which I'm going to talk about, they have not been, basically the idea of sustainability has not been talked about when these three quotations have emerged, probably in the 1950s. The work by Aldous Huxley, who wrote two perceptions about sustainability, which I consider the two ways of sustainable management or sustainable development. And then, of course, from our father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi himself. So let me talk about the first two quotations from Aldous Huxley, which talks about the two pathways. One is sustainable and the other one is unsustainable. Let me just read out the two pathways. The first one is treat nature with charity and understanding, and nature will repay you with unfailing gifts. On the other hand, you have the next pathway, which is basically treat nature aggressively with greed and violence and incomprehension, and wounded nature will turn and destroy you. Basically, when we talk about the concept of sustainability, or when we are concerned about sustainability, we are basically seeing the outcomes or the impacts of the second pathway, which has been unsustainable. Particularly over the last more than 100 years, the developmental pathway that we have followed has been at the greater damage of the natural resources and environment, where we have basically forgot to take the road which has been a sustainable pathway. And on similar line, we also hear our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, saying that the earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not every man's greed. So you can basically understand the whole developmental process. The entire global economy has taken over the years has been mostly from the perspective of meeting your requirement rather than from your need, more than from your greed. Basically, the growth that we are experiencing now has been triggered by the greed that the humanity had, particularly with respect to using the natural resources that we had. Now, coming to sustainability, the concept of sustainability, we all know that sustainability or sustainable development has become a buzzword these days, and which is also at the center stage of discussion in all walks of life, globally as well as locally. Unfortunately, we also have a very globally accepted definition on sustainable development thanks to the World Commission on Environment and Development, which is celebrated as the Brundtland Commission report way back in 1989, which defines the concept of sustainability as sustainable development is the development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their needs. This is what we are actually trying to understand. We are trying to practice, or we are trying to emulate what is known as sustainable development. And when I talk about sustainable development, I also have to very clearly say that the developmental model that we have adopted over until now, the kind of economic development model that we have adopted so far has been not in consideration of the triple bottom lines of sustainability. Perhaps I would also take a position that we have followed a business as usual approach, where always our considerations was making more profit and more profit at the neglect of planet as well as the people. But when I say sustainability, actually we need a paradigm shift, moving away from this business as usual scenario to considering people and planet as the first and secondary priorities in our business activities or in our economic activities, and considering profit only at the third of the bottom line. It's much more clear when I present the picture here, where you can see the sustainable development is basically is an integration of the economic, social, as well as environmental interests that we have. And when we ensure that sustainable development is achieved or sustainability is achieved, we are basically also ensuring the better health, environmental health, better human health, as well as better animal health. So there is a clear indication that sustainability or sustainable development has to happen as an integration of economic interest, social interest, as well as environmental interest in a balanced manner. Why we should be concerned about sustainability? If you look at the history, the economic growth of the past 100 years, more than 100 years, has been basically creating a lot of stress on the natural resources as well as environment, impacting the human society, the animals, the flora and fauna, as caused by shrinking of forests and depleting water resources, collapsing of the fisheries, land degradation, landslide, soil erosion, growing desertification, rising carbon emissions, melting of Arctic ice sea, rising sea levels, dying coral reefs, as well as vanishing marine and wild species, and more and more other kind of damages to the environment. And if you look at the progress towards sustainability, we could see that a lot of eventful decades have been, we are passing through lots of eventful years now. Basically, if you look at way back in 1988, there was the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was set up in 1988. Then in 1992, there came the United Nations Earth Summit, which was the Conference on Environment and Development. And there was basically this conference also emphasized the setting formation of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Then came in 1997 under the climate change conferences, the Kyoto Protocol, which actually set the targets for carbon emissions to the developed as well as developing economies to reach to the 1990 levels. Then we also have the UN climate change conferences, of which basically we have already completed 25, 26 rounds. The recent one held last year at Glasgow. And then we also, in between, we also had the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, which was basically targeted with 8 goals between 2000 and 2015. But then when we made an evaluation of the achievement status of the United Nations Millennium Development Goal, we could realize the fact that many of the goals were remained unachieved, even in the case of the developed countries. So we had actually, under the Paris conference, COP21, we also came up with a new agenda, which was basically known as the United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda 2030, along with 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which has been ratified by 193 countries, including India. If I may just go through the Sustainable Development Goals, just for the sake of an understanding of all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It ranges from goal number 1, where we talk about no poverty, goal number 2, zero hunger, then good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, as well as finally the last goal talks about partnerships for the goals. So basically, it covers the Sustainable Development Goals, covers the entire gamut of activities that you can see, which is basically triggering the development process in the world, on the planet. If you look at the Niti Aayog's study, which is basically the recent report which talks about the improvement that India has made with respect to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, basically the green boxes indicate high levels of achievement reported by many countries, where the level of achievement ranges from 65 to 99. The indicators, SDG indicators ranging from 65 to 99. Then the yellow basically indicates the performers, which are basically to catch up in the process of achieving sustainable development goal, ranging from 50 to 64. SDG indexes ranging from 50 to 64. And finally, the last group of states which are marked in terms of red, where they are yet to make significant headways with respect to achieving sustainable development, where the indicators lie between 0 and 49. So many states are actually lagging behind in terms of achieving sustainable development goal. But overall, we can say that India has made significant headway with respect to its progress from in terms of sustainable development goal from 57 in 2018-19 to 66 as per the latest report released by the Niti Aayog, Government of India. Now, let me also talk about how we can make sustainability as a reality, where we need a lot of actions globally as well as locally. Perhaps some of these points, which are very important to me, can trigger a lot of changes, a lot of developments in the years to come, in the way in achieving sustainability in the years to come. First of all, I consider achieving resource use efficiency, particularly with respect to energy efficiency, water efficiency, particularly in terms of utilization of the critical resources across economic, business, industrial, and household sectors. And also, there is another important stress that we need to make is a shift towards renewable energy system, which are already happening. Basically, the lot of investments are also happening even in India and other as well as in other countries, mainly in terms of exploring the energy, renewable energy resources such as geothermal, solar, wind, tidal, etc., which are going to be the major drivers of economic growth or even business growth in the years to come. And also, there is a need for moving towards eco-friendly habitation systems, green buildings, where a lot of attention, particularly happening in the context of the developed countries. Of course, these are the areas where we need, in a country like India, has to make a lot of investment towards moving towards eco-friendly habitation systems as well as green building. Also, another important point is the circularity, the concept of circular economy principles, where we talk about 6R principle, which mean reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, and refurbish, which means a lot of planning is required moving toward green strategies or green development strategies. Then also need a scientific and evidence-based responsible exploration and exploitation of the minerals as well as the other critical resources, natural resources, which are already going to vanish from the planet in perhaps in 10 to 25 years of time. And finally, environmental education, where awareness campaigns and stricter implementation of sound environmental management principle at all levels is one other important action that is required at the local level, even at the global level as well. Now, coming to the conclusions, basically, I would like to say that in conclusion, I would like to say that sustainable development has come to stay as an inescapable pathway towards development, where the problems we are seeing around us in terms of increasing poverty, unemployment, inequality, declining or depletion of the natural resources, lack of access to natural resources, lack of access to basic provisions of water, food, energy, sanitation, healthcare, education, etc. And in this regard, how we can make a significant contribution in terms of making or committing ourselves to make a bigger change in terms of behavioral or attitudinal changes, where we should basically become more responsible, we should actually show more responsiveness, and also we should actually restrict many of our ambitions or many of our usages of the modern gadgets that we are currently using on a day-to-day basis. Finally, I would like to conclude emphasizing the importance of the behavioral shift, basically using a quote from Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said that the world we have created is a product of our own thinking. If we want to change the world, we have to change our thinking. And again, another American proverb also very well clearly gives us a major hint that whatever we use or whatever we currently make use is basically borrowed borrowal from our own children. It says that we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, rather we borrow it from our children. So let us be more responsible, let us be more sensitive, as well as let us also respect the limits of our actions with respect to environmental damages. And let us also hold the slogan of acting sustainably, thinking sustainably, and dreaming sustainably. Thank you very much.
Dr. Viswanathan, thank you very much. That was indeed very thoughtful, and some very thoughtful questions also coming in from our viewers. But we'll take it up with the both of you towards the collective interactive session. For now, thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. So yes, I am appreciating all those questions, and of course that inquisitiveness that's coming in the form of comments and questions. Keep at it, because we know, as Dr. Viswanathan also said, that for sustainable business practice, entrepreneurship is all about constantly looking for innovative ways, while also, yes, not missing on the profits part of it, but aiming to reduce the detrimental activities. How do we really creatively get moving around this? Our next speaker will talk about good entrepreneurship and sustainability. How do they go together, and much more, with the expertise that he arms himself with. We are talking about, yes, very much, Dr. G.P. Rao, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, who is founder, Good People Relations. Well, we, of course, as soon as he turns on his camera, we'll say, I'll just wave a quick hello to him back and talk more about him. Dr. Rao, welcome back. And
Thank you.
Thank you. You've spent, I read about you, some 37 years in a very fruitful HR career prior to starting your consulting career, if I'm not wrong. And you worked with large Indian companies like SAIL, JK, the Birlas, and RIL, and fondly known as GP in the HR circles. You've received a number of awards, including the Outstanding Contribution Award from the National HRD Network. And you are on the advisory boards of a number of companies, business schools as well. Your focus areas, because this would be in the interest of our viewers today, let me tell you, it's in business coaching, workplace synergy, new age L&T, flexi HR, D&I, and more. Well, Dr. Rao, with that lovely smile that you always greet us with, I'm going to say over to you.
Thank you, Sika. I must compliment and congratulate Dr. Viswanathan for a very, very enlightening, inspiring, and path-giving presentation. Lots of things, and also once again I congratulate our organizers, snetnews.com and Amrita University, for organizing a webinar on such an important topic. So I will not present data or the numbers because Mr. Vishwanath's presentation has been very comprehensive. See, my take is like this. So we are talking about sustainability for the entrepreneurs, the importance of sustainability for entrepreneurs. So I'm addressing them, the current and the future entrepreneurs. And every student is a future entrepreneur, according to me. Whether he starts his own enterprise or he works for a company, he will be actually exhibiting entrepreneurship. Over the years, in our country, the bias has been on profit, rightly said by Dr. Viswanathan, profit, growth, productivity, surplus. And whenever we talk about sustainability, that was somewhere perceived as we're asking somebody to give. This happened in the 80s when you talked about quality. Then people understood that quality does not add to the cost. Actually, quality reduces cost. Now the time has come now to tell the world, particularly the entrepreneur world, that if you think sustainability is giving and business is getting, let me tell you, givers will gain. Sustainability will make you richer. So this is my first advice to entrepreneurs. And the rationale for giving this advice is, in our lives, we do good things. Like sustainability is a good thing, no question about it. We do good things for three reasons. One is there is a mandate, there is a directive, there is a compulsion, there is a law. So that is one reason. The other is a barter. You do something good because in return you will getting good. We call it barter, a give and take. The third reason is we do out of our value system. We all, when it comes to the sustainability, we can create this mindset, this orientation that we owe it to the Mother Earth. It is our duty to serve Mother Earth. It's our responsibility, keep it green. If you can do that more, the rate of success, the speed of success in this mission of creating the green 17, the 17 parameters, we want that to be green all over, that will be better. Now, who will do that? I'm talking about creating that mindset of giving back to the earth, coupled with the format of give, the barter or give and take, and of course, a little amount of mandate. Now, who are responsible to give? So in my research of consulting people with different companies, both in public sector and private sector, I saw that it's not a lone battle. While we are discussing about entrepreneurs, so they are only one part of the bigger team who have to ensure this. I'll start with academia. This is where we teach people, we prepare the students, we tell them the research, we give them the tools. For example, somebody wants to do sustainable measures, but he does not know how to measure it. The impact of the measure. So that's where the academia can help us. The second one is the business world, the business bodies, the trade bodies, the professional bodies must educate, must encourage, must inspire the members to create, comply with, promote, implement sustainability measures. The third is, since it is a new area, new focus area, still it is evolving, consulting world can do a lot. I started with academia, started with business bodies, started the consulting. The fourth is the developmental sector. When it comes to plantation, clean water, clean air, lesser carbon dioxide, so the development sector can do a lot. So development sector in their focus areas, in their projects, can pilot and collaborate with the entrepreneurs, the businesses in promoting sustainability. So I started with academia, started with business world, I said consulting, and then the development world. Next is of the entrepreneurs themselves, because we're talking everything for them only. And more, the next one is facilitators. We have got action groups, we've got activists. They can be positively take this instead of questioning. Let's go and collaborate. Let's go and promote. Let's go and co-create. Let's work together. to create sustainability. Only talking ills of it, only talking who is not doing it. Rather, we channelize our energy for getting it done. And finally, it's the government policies, government laws, government actions, government investments, government promotions, government schemes to promote sustainability will become important. So if you really see, it is A to Z, academia, business bodies, consulting world, the development sector, the entrepreneurs themselves, the facilitators, and the government itself. Now, in the business world, in the entrepreneurs, once you buy this theory that if sustainability is giving and business is getting, and if you believe that givers will ultimately gain, you'll do better. Well, there are some challenges. The challenges are we do not know, maybe do not know. So this awareness, so all these bodies I talked about it, we must help them, entrepreneurs, to volunteer to learn more and create that awareness in the companies that how to do sustainability. We already talked about why sustainability. Now we'll talk about how sustainability. The second one is the tools. The third one is the measurement of the gain. The fourth is incentivization. The fifth is rewarding good jobs done by the sustainability. So together we do all these, both with help of the government, the academia, and the consulting world. See, the entrepreneurs will get energized. They will get enabled to do this. So one is making them ready. Number two is enable them to do it. Number three is encourage them to do more and more. And I'm sure in our country, with our heritage, our value system that we owe it to the world, I'm sure we will be soon reaching that green 17 status of every state scoring green marks on every parameter of the table. Thank you. Over to you, Sika. Over to Sika.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rao. Those were some thoughtful perspectives being shared. Thank you very, very much. And all right, I am right there. So truly said, I think with your pearls of wisdom that sustainability, we should not consider it as a cost. And that's not really for the rich and big companies, it's for one and all. So with those positive sentiments, I was just scrolling through some of the questions that have come to us. I would be wanting to invite my esteemed guest and speakers back onto the screen. So could we please have Dr. Viswanathan PK and Dr. GP Rao joining us back onto the screen. Warm welcome again, and thank you so much. Very good deliberations indeed.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm all set to actually, I was just screening for some of the questions out here. And while we have one specific question each for the two of you, there's one question that is that could be picked up by any one of you, that is saying that the entrepreneurs are interested only in maximizing their private optimum in their business. What could be done to promote the importance of sustainability while allowing enterprises to also maximize? So any one of you could take it, please.
Dr. Viswanathan?
In fact, basically, a lot of things are happening now, to be very frank. Basically, one cannot argue that the entrepreneurs or the enterprises, particularly in India and as well as in other parts of the world, they are seriously reorienting their business strategies. And particularly in the Indian context, you can see a lot of dynamism or a lot of activism is happening from the company side, from the entrepreneur side. That is quite visible when we look at the Companies Act 2013. And following the Companies Act 2013, you know that in India, perhaps only in India, we have the mandatory CSR regime compared to any other country in the world. So perhaps that 2013 Companies Act, many of the companies have been pursuing CSR activities on a voluntary basis. There was no compulsion for them to engage into CSR activities. But this Companies Act made it as a mandatory activity. And you see that many of the companies are quite forthcoming in terms of spending on CSR activities. And earlier they have been mostly focusing on social type of developmental interventions or earlier, but now you can also see a lot of interventions, a lot of investments that are happening in the environmental sector as well. So I would say that of course there could be companies which are perhaps mostly concentrating on the optimization or the maximization of their profit. We can also cannot blame them, because you know that in the Indian context, if you look at the MSME sector, basically you can see that a larger proportion of them, maybe more than 75 or 80% of them, are actually very small operators, where they cannot actually think about setting apart a CSR fund which can be beneficial for the society or the environment. So we have to think in terms of strengthening their capacities or capacity building among the companies themselves, in order to make them, or in order to respond them, I mean to make them respond in a better manner with respect to implementation of many of the social as well as environmentally relevant projects. That's my point. Thank you.
Can I add something, Sikha? Yeah, like
Please.
this recent pandemic has proved that compassionate leaders are more successful. It proved. And it's proved how it happened, not that overnight somebody has become compassionate. Actually, compassion is inbuilt. Only sometimes, no, it comes out at the right moment. Same way, our duty, obligation, love for our earth is there inside. Somebody has to trigger it. So I'm saying that the trigger through mandate has got a limited power. The trigger through the barter has a little more, but the trigger through this value system will be higher. So that's why I'm broaching on that. But then let it be a package. Let's take Dr. Viswanathan talked about solar energy. No, so when somebody doing it solar energy, one is you are doing a sustainable measure, and also you are saving on the cost of energy. So sometimes you'll have to package it. So for the benefit of the business, because in the business world, the language is money, the language is profit, language is surplus. It's fine. But then you should package it. So it will work. Since in the pandemic, the compassion has worked, I'm sure the sustainability will work.
Very beautifully articulated, both of you. I'm sure some very learned insights there for our viewers. All right, with that, I'm going to take up the next question that's directed to Dr. Viswanathan. We saw Kerala was at the top while Jharkhand and Bihar towards the bottom of SDG, that's of course Sustainable Development Goals, the table. Among states in India, is there a correlation between literacy rate and the SDGs in your opinion?
Definitely, yes. I would say it's a yes. There's a highly correlated. The performance of the SDG indicators, the literacy or the level of literacy of the particular state. Because when the level of literacy is high, probably due to a lot of public policy interventions and all, the state government's interventions also, you can say that very clearly with respect to Kerala, because in terms of education, in terms of public health provision, Kerala has been doing very well. Even if you don't look at the SDG parameters, even otherwise also, Kerala has been making a big record in terms of these parameters. So basically, all the SDG parameters, if you look at especially the hunger, the problems of hunger, poverty, gender equality, water and sanitation, public health, then clean drinking water, infrastructure, basic infrastructure, etc. Even in the case of just take the case of cooking gas, even if you look at all these dimensions of the way people basically manage their livelihoods in those states, particularly Bihar and Jharkhand, you see that a lot of things to change. There is a need for significant change in those states. And probably, of course, a lot of government schemes are working in those states now. And we also have the central government schemes being implemented in the state with respect, I mean, in terms of convergence schemes where state governments also participate in the implementation of the project. And many things are actually happening. But of course, with respect to these states, I would say that basically these are very much, there's a need for improvement with respect to these states. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Viswanathan, point well taken. Hope that answers this. Dr. Rao, directing the next one, that is for you. You give a very interesting quote, sustainability would make you richer. Could you please elaborate on this or share an example of the same?
Yeah. When I said sustainability, I also gave the example of quality. People thought quality adds to the cost. Actually, if you maintain quality, you sell more. Your customer acceptance is more. Though that's what I said. Now, coming to what it makes richer. Number one is the entrepreneur will feel very, very good that I am more ethical. I'm very sensible. I'm very compliant. So I'm taking care of all stakeholders. That feeling makes you the first richness. The second richness is what all Dr. Viswanathan said, reuse, repair, recycle, all that. You will save cost. And last one is, I'm telling you, today's consumer is very alert, very enlightened. He was choosing earlier a cheaper product, then he was choosing a quality product. Now he's choosing between two companies, the more ethical company. And I'm telling you, a day will come, the consumer will choose a product based on his information that company is more sustainability oriented. That is coming, that will be reality. That's what I said, those companies will become richer for sustainability.
Very beautiful, and I hope that happens sooner than soon, that that becomes the obvious choice, and a preference for everyone out there. I'm gonna, considering that we have the last few minutes left, maybe I'm seeking for quick answers to the last set of questions that have just flown to us. So gonna take up this one. How can government help in making companies sustainable?
Yeah, the government giving incentives, government running schemes, government creating awareness, government promoting education. So these are all the things very obviously government can help.
Fair enough. So continuing the good practices there. All right. I know both of you have spoken about different examples, but maybe there's some more light that one of our viewers want both of you to shed, which is, could you give examples of a few sustainable companies or countries where sustainability is actively sort of promoted?
I only can read from Google and say. So I was seeing that Barcelona, Auckland, Bristol. Yes. So mostly North America and European countries are figuring in that list, on that list. And in India, of course, we have Kerala leading in the list. No, companies, you see, it's in a public platform. Sometimes, it becomes debatable. There are several companies doing good work both in public sector and private sector, more in public sector and large private sector companies. And very interestingly, a lot of startup companies are giving their time, attention on the sustainability. I'm very happy to say that.
I would like to make a point on this. Basically, one of the recent study that we have undertaken with respect to the performance of the companies with respect to the CSR activities, particularly in the context of the post Companies Act perspective. We see that a lot of private companies, the so-called well-ranked companies, top-ranked companies, are also very well performing with respect to the CSR activities. True. I don't want to name the companies, but basically the study very clearly shows that even many of the public sector companies or public sector enterprises are actually lagging behind with respect to the CSR activities. That's what I could see. And of course, there are, if you look at a country, UK, basically there is a concept which has been promoted by the Fair Trade organization, Fair Trade labeling organization, where you see that I heard that in UK there is a district which is basically Fair Trade certified
Yes.
district,
Yes.
where you'll see that all the people in that district only buy products which are certified by the Fair Trade. And why fair trade? Because fair trade is one of the very well flourishing trade certification systems which are catching up in India, also in the plantation sector as well. What the fair trade system insists is that when a particular person or when a consumer buys a product which is certified by the fair trade organization, some amount of that goes to the worker or the producer. That is being ensured. So basically, it's ethical consumerism that is actually triggering the whole changes that are happening around the world. And we can expect, as Shikha has already expected, I mean, just mentioned, we also can expect that many things will happen in the post-pandemic context on a positive note. And we can also pray for these things to happen in a sooner than later. Thank you.
Yeah, Shikha, I just wanted to clarify. There are good companies in public sector, good companies in private sector. So I just want to clarify. It's not that this sector is better than that. There are good examples in both the sectors. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. I think very heartfully answered, and this sounds fair and good, and I think inspiring examples to look up to as well. All right, so one of our audience members is asking, maybe this is the second last question that I'll quickly take up. What are the common sustainable practices that can be implemented across industries and companies?
There are many in technology, in LED lights, the solar energy, reuse of water, the repairs, the paperless offices, wind energy, the crop rotation, green space, plantation. So lots of things are there. But most important is where. See, we must focus on manufacturing, mobility, construction at home and office use. So if you can focus on these, so it will work. And there are so many sustainability schemes are available, sustainable measures are available, consultants are available. The entrepreneur should get ready and do it. That's it.
Many of the projects which are aimed at carbon emission reduction,
Yes.
improving energy efficiency,
Correct.
these are all major activities being undertaken by the companies.
True.
Many companies.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think so that way we are spoiled for choices, and I would also like to just personally ask Dr. Viswanathan and Dr. Rao, is it something that a conscious choice that you both make as well before availing any services or products? Do you look for those quality and that standard when it comes to sustainability personally as well?
Yeah,
most likely.
Personally, as much as possible,
Yes.
I do it, and in the family also do it. And I also work for some NGOs. I'm
Yes,
a part of an NGO called
heard
Bharati
about
Yamuna. We are doing clean Yamuna, afforestation, improving the water body. I'm part of Rotary. We're doing a lot of work. So it's there, but then there is a scope for improvement. More people should join, and that should happen.
I think very humble and practicing what you're preaching, both are experts. All right, we would like to call it a wrap after taking up this final question, which is, okay, so this comes as, so we understood entrepreneurs are well positioned to address simultaneously environmental as well as social issues. However, they lack resources. That's something that really, we feel it's challenging. So they lack resources to effectively measure these impacts to demonstrate an overall positive benefit and strengthen their value proposition. So how can this problem really be tackled? What do both of you think about this?
I would say that there is a need for increased engagement between the corporate sector as well as the academia, where the academia basically has got a lot of solutions to many of the problems that we are confronting. So there is a good networking that is very much required between the academia as well as the corporate sector, where the academia, I say that particularly the institution, engineering institution, universities or management institutions can very well help in terms of doing this the measurement, the important aspect of measurement. We have very robust methodologies available now. So basically, the academia, the university systems or the institution, management institutions or engineering institution can really help the companies in terms of coming to terms with this problem. Because I feel that many of the companies are yet to make a bigger investment in terms of R&D, research and development. So where you can actually fill the gap by way of networking with the academic institution. That's what I wanted to say on that.
All right. Dr. Viswanathan seems to have taken the onus on the academia. Dr.
Yeah.
Rao, if you talk about the industry, what do you have to say?
Yeah, no. One thing is, see, you must do small things. Easy.
Right.
LED lights,
Beautifully said.
solar energy, reuse. Don't use disposable things. No, use disposable things you dispose. Don't use. No, you have a plate and eat and wash it. No, so I'm saying these are smaller, so easy to measure. But as Dr. Viswanathan said, this is ABCD. Academia, business, consulting, and the development sector. Together, we can do this. It's possible. There are many organizations, they do it pro bono. Some organizations take a fee. Some universities are offering this collaboration approach. But then it is possible. But then we must work together. It's possible to do this. The tools are available. Research is available. But then if you do smaller things, the results are visible.
Yeah, it's an era of collective responsibility.
Yes, sure.
To save the environment.
Absolutely.
Save the planet.
Absolutely, sir. We'll paint with green that your chart.
Dr. Viswanathan and Dr. Rao, apart from being givers, I think with so much of passion, both of you talked about what are the challenges, how can we go forward, and how there's nothing that's actually stopping us, because it is those small efforts that matter. With all those technicalities and the details and the knowledge that you shared, I would like to profusely thank both of you. Thank you very, very much for taking the time out and joining us.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity.
Our pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to both of you. And on that note, now, from the leading leaders out there from the academia and the industry, how sustainable entrepreneurship can be considered really an opportunity for business development practice at the nexus of environmental and social aspects. Their value proposition is definitely based on the time and the cost savings, social and environmental impact. But quality service is the key to developing viable business models. And yes, the future is defined by the children that are rearing up to take up those challenges. So here's wishing you all the very best. We at Asianet News and Amrita School of Business wish you the best. And yes, we are hopeful of a bright, sustainable entrepreneurial stride that you're going to be taking, all you dear students and budding entrepreneurs, for your sustainable entrepreneurial journey. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us as well. Yes, I would like to announce the topic of our next webinar that is going to be shortly coming up in some days. So some days it's actually on the 15th of February 2022. Make sure you pep yourselves with some good research on artificial intelligence and marketing and management. Of course, we will get content from our side and make sure that your questions are answered to the best of the abilities of our next experts who would be taking the charge. But for now, of course, read about it and come with an inquisitive mind like you do always. So join us without fail. Thank you so much and stay safe.